Good morning, evening, afternoon. Masati here. I'm here in San Francisco doing a private event here for some really cool clients. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome to Masati on Sunday, where we go into the deeper understandings to this. This Masadi on Sunday is Life Explained. We're going to get into XI and ancient philosophy and how they compare with each other. But before, a lot of individuals from everywhere, upstate New York is in the house. Gosh, where are we? Michigan, South Africa, which will be actually in in September. It's all sold out, but I think you can join us online on not all the things that we do, but some of the things that we do. So that's an opportunity for you as well. We can join online. We'll do videos. We can do meditations, just like we did in Egypt. When we were in Egypt, when we were in China, we did those deep state meditations. So, bringing you in for those who couldn't make it, Southern California, the UK. Thanks a lot, Anchorage, Alaska. Everybody's coming in. So this is really awesome. Really creating, say, a net, right? Uh, um, a nice frequency net around the globe to really transform humanity. And that's what it's really about, because, well, we're going to talk about ancient philosophy and how everybody in history have literally transformed or try to transform realities, right? Try to change the change makers that are out there. But if you look at all the change makers that are out there, and again, I'm not cutting anybody down or anything like that. I'm just looking at results, okay? Just straight out looking at results. If it was just a business situation, you got the bottom line. Were we in the red, or did we make it, right? But if you look at any change makers or what's those individuals that are called change makers, again, they could have been fantastic people, not so fantastic people. It doesn't really matter. But kind of look at them. Did society really change, or did we keep progressing, down on a downward spiral? The bottom line, that's all. Today, we're going to look at philosophy. Again, XI in ancient philosophy. It's not about, you know, well, you've probably heard the words "know thyself," right? It's uh, know thyself. It's etched in, gosh, it's etched in temples, repeated over and over again by pretty much everybody. It's quoted in almost every era of history, and that was shit. That was like thousands of years ago. But the real question, again, the bottom line is, did those who spoke it actually live it? And that's really the key, because you can say a lot of fantastic things, but if you're not resonating with the frequency behind it, it's not going to work. It's not going to evolve society. And that's the key. Just like parenting, if you're messed up, you're telling your kids, "Hey, you know what, honey, go do this." What do the kids listen to? Not to what you're saying, not to your actions, not what you force them into, but the frequency behind it, right? So that's what we're here diving into today. I'll be scanning some of the history's greatest philosophers. I see Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras, and Epictetus. Hope I'm saying his name right. Epictetus, I believe it is. So anyway, they left us brilliant, right? They left us brilliant words, ideas that really shaped our society, everything, and we'll get into that. And then obviously timeless quotes that we still run off of. But again, most of them observed. Um, they observed. They studied, but they only scratched the surface. And I talk about the surface. I talk about scratching the surface, like Elon Musk scratches the surface, Trump, Nikola Tesla, and the reason is because, okay, again, not to deny them, not to distort them, brilliant individuals. Okay, I talk about you scratching in the surface, and again, some of you highly successful, some of you highly spiritual. Again, we all have, say, our greatness involved, but the reason why I say you only scratch the surface is because was your frequency, was there a frequency integrity behind that? Or was it just surface level? right? You could be a great parent, but then you did everything so perfectly as a great parent, but then look at your kids, right? So was there? And again, I'm not blaming you, but say, was there a frequency behind it? You could have risked your life and did everything to save, say, the children, and then year after year, you could have done everything to say fight off breast cancer. But then year after year after year, what happens? Breast cancer is increased higher and higher. That's what I'm talking about. Again, I'm not denying anybody of what they've done, what they're what they've helped in the world, helped expand and grow. But the key is we're getting to the point, we're getting down to the bottom line that it's we have to understand it's not the solutions, it's not the structure, it's not the mathematics, anything like that. It literally is the frequency behind it, and more people are understanding it, right? So again, this is where I only say they only scratch the surface. Another thing on that before we get into it, your physical life here, and backed by quantum science, your physical life here and all it represents, all the physicalness of this reality, okay, is literally about 1 or 2% of what makes up the universe, what makes up, say, the unknown that is out there, what goes beyond space and time. So the 1%, even if you knew 100% of the 1 or 2%, you're still scratching the surface. Get it? So that's what I'm talking about. Again, so these guys, they had fantastic, right? They had glimpses of truth. They were questioning. They had vision. Had structure. They created mathematics, which is fantastic. Needs to define, gets a bit more defined in mathematics between human math and natural math. We need to redefine it a bit more. They created sovereignty, but but their lives often revealed the distortions that they couldn't delete. They still had a lot of problems. So in this Saudi on Sunday, we're going to do it different. We're going to scan those individuals. But the difference between philosophy and XI, philosophy inspires, helps you motivate. XI actually transforms you. How many of you out there have done a lot of stuff out there? Did what is it, the Daily Stoic and all those things? And again, you were still the same person until you got into XI. Right? Again, I'm not denying any of those individuals. We need those individuals. We need their craft. We need their intelligence, but we also need the frequency behind that. You can't deny either side of it. Right? All right. So because knowing thyself, is so important, and it's not about say memorizing who you are. And by memorizing, I say that it's like, oh, I have a board meeting. Boom, you put on that that facade. Oh, I have to take care of my kid. Oh, I'm a wife. I'm a husband. I'm at this. Right. You literally is like, what role are you going to play? What who was I? Especially if you lie a lot, right? It's like, shit, what did I tell that person? Who was I? Especially on first dates and stuff like that. A lot of guys do that, right? Um, again, it's not about memorizing. It's not about wisdom or debating ideas. There's a lot of debates happening, right? On who's right, who's wrong. I mean, the political scene, it's debates. The social media, it's all about debating who's right and who's wrong. Again, it sounds great, but did you change your frequency? Even if you were right, did your frequency match the underlying? Um, did your frequency match your, say, physical representation of what you said and who you are? Okay. So again, deleting distortions so your true essence reflects back with clarity. Again, the person that you always were, the person that you need to remember, not just in thought, not just in action, but your frequency. As you change your frequency, your emotions, your logic, your mindset changes, your body changes, your life choices change, everything changes about you. Okay. And this is what Know Thyself, by the way, is all about, coming up tomorrow, I believe. Yeah. Know Thyself coming up tomorrow, guys. So if you haven't signed up for it, maybe the team can put the link up. If you haven't signed up for it, I highly recommend it. Uh, especially if you did the last, what was it, letting shit go, right? It's good to understand who you are now, right? Did ethics, yeah, a lot of us do ethics, right? We do want to do the right thing. Spent so much money and years, many modalities. Thanks, Connor. I've learned a bunch. Yep, exactly. Learned a bunch, but what happens? We didn't change much. Know thyself. Yeah. All right. So I was just talking to Alex. He's running, all the technicals behind here. All these individuals, they're great philosophers, and they have a certain look to them, and uh, went into ChatGPT, they have that sage look, right? They've got the long beards, robes, and kind of timeless, weathered presence, right? you know, where their appearance reflects that wisdom. I try to put a longer beard. I let my eyebrows grow out a little bit more. Uh, you know, and then there's the scholarly look. They're clean, they're composed. And then now we have the modern intellectual look. Like back in the day, Steve Jobs. The turtleneck, glasses. Minimalist. Oh, I've got my glasses, by the way. So if that helps any guys, if that makes me look more intelligent and all that. But Alex, throw the picture uh, of me, the real philosopher, the way they really look. Um, all right, let's go to. Um, yeah, it doesn't look like a philosopher, right? All righty, let's go to Socrates first. Who he was. Uh, Alex, let me know if you've got his picture up. Let me just. All right, sorry. There we go. Now I can see. Just give me a second, guys. Oops. Let me just adjust my screen. There we go. So Socrates again. See that white beard? I mean, he just looks intelligent, right? All right. Socrates, 470 to 399 BCE. He's a Greek philosopher who taught that truth emerges through self-examination, which is absolutely right. Right. And constant questioning. That's what I ask you to do as well. Right. So he laid literally the groundwork for Western ethics and critical thought. Right? Some of his famous quotes, see here: "The unexamined life is not worth living. All I know is that I know nothing." And then to find yourself, think for yourself. Okay? All right. So where he scratched the surface again, l- everything he did, everything he said was right. But here's where he scratched the surface. Okay? Is that he believed questioning was the path to truth. And that's true. I ask you to just question all the time. Kids, when they're in their liquid mode before they get into the gel mode, between say 5 to 7, that's a liquid mode. They're getting into gel mode, and then when they turn, say, about around puberty, into, young teenage, they always ask questions, they always defy, and then when they get teenage, right, they're defying. So that's a natural state. You're defying what you don't know. So again, you always question, and that's where these kids, when they're young, they question everything. It's like, Dad, why did you do this? Mom, why did you do this? And then we go, because I said so. So we get into endless debate. Again, but truth isn't found in endless debate. It's about going inwards and letting go of who you really are. Right? Idea, and this is where spatial referencing is so important, because if you are wearing, a set of, say, green filtered glasses, right, or rose colored glasses, or whatever you want, and no matter what you do, right, and you don't know that you are wearing rose colored glasses, and that's the key, right? You don't know that you're wearing the lenses of who you are, because you've been in it so much, you are blind to it. So when you question, you are questioning through the same filter that should be deleted. That's the problem with this type of questioning. That's why we go back in spatial reference. We'll teach more about that in the Know Thyself. Spatial referencing, if you're new, is basically going beyond the concepts or the constructs of the mind here, going beyond the identity that created you before you even had a brain. That's the questioning that I think he was actually getting into, right? So again, going with Socrates, knowing thyself, unexamined life. It's true. Most people, again, they go outwards to find who they are, right? They discover, they challenge, they conquer, right? But then this is the work that we're doing with the Navy SEALs, right? Knowing thyself, right? Um, and unfortunately with the Navy SEALs, most of those men, right, most of those men that have made fantastic Navy SEALs, they're heroes. I'm sure they've got a lot of badges. And the reason why they did all that is because they wanted to get away from the abusive patterns of their childhood. Right? I haven't worked on, say, a ton of people, a ton of, say, ex-military type, but enough to know it's like shit. They've got some bad stuff in their backgrounds, right? So again, and what do they think? Going out and conquering, being the best, especially in extreme challenges like that, that is gonna say heal them. They come back out and they go, "Fuck, it didn't heal them," and then they break. So again, knowing thyself is going inwards. Right? Hopefully, we'll do some more work with a good friend of mine, won't mention his name, begin helping us go out there and help those young men even before they get into the military. So, all right. So where he scratched the surface again, he believed questioning was the pathway to truth. But like I said, truth isn't found in endless debate. That just loops the distortion. I'm sure you've gone through that, right? Or trying the same thing over and over again, right? Or trying something different, different relationship, different career, different whatever. But again, not changing yourself. So again, spatial referencing here demands that you see the truth. How many of you done spatial referencing? It's like, damn, I didn't know I was running many of the patterns that I thought I got rid of, right? Those kind of situations. So fantastic. So as we go deeper, real self-like examination, as I was saying, isn't about asking endless questions, but as you spatial reference, it's about clearing the noise inside you. Right? It's about clearing, and by clearing the noise, the distortion. So when that distortion is gone, or the filters are gone, right? The colored lenses that we see are, it's not even the colored lenses that we see ourselves through. It's the colored, say, the colored lenses that create us. I had a talk with Fefe last night. It's like, well, what do you mean? Filters. Well, imagine this, guys. Okay, you're light. Okay, there's a projection. Okay, projection that lights that casts image, which is you. It's a 3D image. Okay. And then what happens is that you have, one is your human body, and then on top of that, it's layers upon layers upon layers, because it's a cascading, universe here. So one is a human body, one's a woman's body, one is boom, and it's just filter after filter after filter. Your identity, what you've gone through, your experiences, the millions of people that were there that created you, that had to be there to create you, all their filters that go through. Again, those are the lenses that I talk about. With XI, you start to delete all those lenses, all those filters that project upon you. Right? Again, those are those lenses that go beyond the brain. That's what we want to get rid of. Okay. So Socrates, he actually lived what he taught uh, at a mental level. Okay, and he's very brilliant. But again, his life wasn't really complete. Right. So I would give him a high level score. He did live life what he taught. He held on to what he believed in. He chose death rather than betray his truth. Right. So he's very aligned, but still stuck in the mind instead of the deeper frequency of life. Right. Again, so he um, let's just say that his identity was always about, say, solving problems, always pushing against the system because he knew the system was broken. So if that system, say, collapsed, he would have collapsed as well. Okay, just like if you're a truth sayer, if you're a truth fighter, if you're fighting for cancer, for example, this is what the number one reason why cancer doesn't get deleted. um, there's I mean, think of it. If you solve cancer, what would that multi-billion-dollar industry do? There's no reason anymore to be around, right? That that industry would just collapse upon itself. It would not survive, right? It would have to die. Got it? So if your identity is based on, say, a savior, a truth speaker, what Elon Musk is, that maverick, right? If there's nothing to fight against, all those individuals would literally just like vanish, right? Spatial reference works every time. Thanks, Carmen. So we'll go on to Plato. Alex threw up Plato for me, would you? Plato was 427 through 347 BCE. Shit, guys, that's like 3,000 years ago. About 3,000 years ago. Pretty crazy, right? So, Plato, he was a student of Socrates who introduced the theory of forms, shaping literally spiritual duality and the belief that reality exists beyond the physical world. So, this is getting into, say, concepts and concepts of, say, a spirit, things that are out there, shaping this reality, shaping the unknown. Some of his famous quotes here. Reality is created by the mind. We can change our reality by changing our mind. um, 3,000 years ago, that's what Tony Robbins says. That's what say Joe Dispenza says. And again, they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong, but the mind, again, you are. That's only say 1 or 2% of who you are. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Abraham Lincoln said that to really understand who a man is, give him power, right? And that's absolutely true. Same thing with frequencies or the knowledge, say, that I can access, because those what they're saying there is that, do you get corrupted? And by the way, when people go, when they get power hungry and they get corrupted, sure, they destroy other people's lives and so on like that, right? But in reality, they're corrupting their own soul. They're corrupting their own identity. They are corrupting their lineage, not just themselves. So these people, I just did a post on Telegram. You can join my Telegram and my Substack channel, by the way. I've got two Substack channels, one XI Science, and then one, the Human Code, on Substack. So take a look at it, guys. Really good. Finally got it up and running. You can always go to XI Masati. That's on Substack as well. But getting back to what was I talking about? Oh, the soul. So people. So this article was on Human and Health Services. They spent $1 billion campaigning for COVID, and again, disregarding the scientific facts and all that. So when you get power hungry like that, all those individuals, known and unknown within that industry, are literally selling the souls of, say, their loved ones, their children, and you'll see that in the very, very near future, right? That's just one example. So again, if you guys are power hungry like that, don't do that, right? That's just a test for you. Um, so the reason why I can read pretty much everybody, anybody, because power doesn't come from controlling others. Power comes from, say, maintaining the integrity of who you are. Right? Again, for those people who are into power, write that down for you. Uh, if somebody can write that down, really, really important. That's true power. That's why I have access literally to anybody that's out there, living or dead. I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care how much money you have, how much security you have, and all that stuff. I can peer right through all those your security uh, details. Right? That's real encryption, by the way. Right? So again, so the soul. This is the last one. The soul takes nothing with it to the next world, but it's education and cultivation. So absolutely true. Again, so absolutely true, because a lot of times, most of the time, I should correct, most of the time, I see I see these individuals, you know, they take their identity into the other side. The indentations, the permanence of, say, what happened to you in physical form, say, escapes or goes into the on the other side, and then it creates a record, basically, right? Just like, say, you have a physical experience, say, like there was a video camera, right? And everything was you know, you lived and everything was video for you, for you, okay? You died, okay? That, say, where's that recorded? Your life, that video, where's that stored? Up in the cloud somewhere. It literally is just like that, right? It's somewhere in the sands of time. It's been etched in there for you, okay? You've, say, created, say, this masterpiece of humanity. You're part of that masterpiece. So again, watch it, right? Be kind to that masterpiece, because it affects future generations and past generations. So where he scratched the surface, again, he intuited higher realities. He split, but the deal is he split the body and soul. Temporal versus what would you call it, eternal type. So the dualism, though, right? Basically, the dualism is in religion. It's in spirituality. It's in pretty much everything, right? It's in business, where church, church and state, they can't be together. Uh, Everything is based on, say, this type of duality, right? So, and he basically scoped out the physics of this universe. Duality, you need duality or referencing, like spatial referencing, to understand where you are, how you create yourself, who you are. If there was no evil in the world, you couldn't, say, render goodness. But how much evil, and here's the deal, here's the deeper truth, how much evil do you need for you to be a good person? Think of it. Okay. And here I'll give you a clue for those trillionaires that are out there. The reason why they're trillionaires out there, because they're insecure. Okay. The reason why there's so many spiritual people, or religious people that are going to be coming out. Have you noticed? There's people like that are trillionaires, trillion, valued companies. There are highly religious people coming out. Right? The reason why is this Earth is very shaky right now. The universe is very, very shaky. So what do people do? They need to identify. They need to hold on to who they are. Right? And what do? It's like, hey, my identity is based on money. I better make more. My identity is based on my religion. I better, like, hold on to it more and deny everybody else. So what you do, literally, those people, the wealthier that you need to get to create, and I'm not, it's not talking about the wealthier that you need to get to, say, reflect who you are. That's the difference. The wealthier that you need to get, okay, as a facade of who you are. Okay? Your identity, that's two very different wealth patterns, two very different, say, religious or spiritual type patterns. Okay. Um, Alex, somebody says they can't hear me. Sounds good. Okay, thanks. I have sound. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm talking about. You start to separate. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, but in reality, the soul or the spirit actually renders your physical body here, okay? And then you don't need that duality. So it's not your mind that changes reality; it's the frequency you live in it. Okay, it's not the duality that you need. Okay? It's not the duality of right and wrong that you need. It's just a reflection of, again, reference point in dimensions of space and time that you need. We'll talk about that again in the Know Thyself program. So the frequency audit for Plato, again, Plato saw glimpses of higher worlds, just like many of us do, but struggled to live them here. Again, he saw what's out there, just like many great, even people like Kurt Cobain, okay? um, from Nirvana. Again, many of those individuals, many of you, you see the brilliance of what you could be out there, especially if you had near deaths and all that. By the way, I'm speaking at the IANS convention in Chicago. Right, so take a look at that as well. A lot of near deathers, they see what's out there, but then when they come back here, it's like, fuck, where is that? I was like that when my first near death. It's like I wanted to go back. Right. So again, that reality becomes split. It creates it, but he split his reality into two. And that separation still causes distortion as of today because it is a fractal, cascading fractal universe. Let's move on to Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. Again, look at all those guys. Great beards, great hair, just that philosopher look. Damn. Maybe when I get a little older, I'll look like that. But I'll keep my own look. All right. So Plato's students, it was a Plato's student who emphasized observation, logic, and systems, founding the roots of science, education, and structured reasoning still used today. Some of his famous quotes: knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Absolutely. It is the mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. Absolutely. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. Okay, where they scratch the surface, those are all say mental aspects, right? Knowing thyself is the beginning of all wisdom. Absolutely. When you ask, hey, who are you, what do you say? Again, this is a comment. This is a question for you. Comment in it. Who are you? You'll go, oh, I'm a teacher. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm so and so's spouse. Not really knowing yourself. Oh, I made 10 billion last year, right? Again, those kind of things. That's not really knowing yourself. Who are you before your mind, before people told you what to do? Again, it's a mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. Absolutely, understanding reference points. Again, not denying them. Like I said, it's like, hey, I'm rich, therefore I need to separate myself from the poor. I'm poor, or I'm spiritual, therefore I need to separate myself from I'm Middle Eastern, I need to separate myself from those people out there. The thing with the Jews, those aren't just random situations that are arising. Those are, again, the politics, okay, the powers to I hate to call them powers because they're really not powerful. They're very insecure. They have to say create that upheaval for individuals to create separation, because separation creates cohesiveness for the group. Right? If you want to start a war, what do? You pit everybody in your country. Um, you know, you create cohesiveness no matter who they are. You put them all together, and you pit the rest of the world against, and that's what people do, right? So you don't want to do that again. So we are what we repeatedly do. Exactly. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. Again, let's just go deeper. Again, he's just scratched the surface. Those are all true, but again, he reduced truth to systems, categories, and repetition. That's the key. And that's all states of the mind. But you need to have a state of being, and that's where he went a bit off. Great introduction, great identity, but again, knowledge became scaffolding. If you think about it, his identity was what he knew, what he could say act upon in this situation. For example, for him, basically, is like, gosh, in this situation, I am this person. In this situation, I am this person. So he had, say, multiple roles, and I bet he actually started to have, say, issues in his mind. Aristotle having, say, multiple identities over time. From what I'm seeing, as he got older, he got a little delirious in his old age. He started to. Have you seen old people? Right? They reflect back on, or maybe even have another identity, or they might have memories of things that might have not happened to them, but maybe memories of the past, their forefathers and so on like that. That's basically Aristotle. Again, he did fantastic, but again, real wisdom isn't just knowing about facts or repeating habits. It's living in resonance, right? When your frequency matches your true nature, the action just flows right through you. Okay? How many of you, and this is where, I talk about XI. XI is not about understanding stuff out here. XI is just being, and the knowledge comes naturally forth for you. Okay, that's what Aristotle was actually talking about or wanting. That's his objective. How many of you just know that, by the way? Through XI, you've become, it's like, shit, the wisdom is just within me. I just know it, right? And those of you who are, say, have great abilities, right? Your audio, you can see things, whatever. But with XI, you just know, right? This is knowing. That's wisdom. Right? Again, all these people highly intelligent, but their wisdom level, their XIQ level, literally is how much of that knowledge can you actually become. That's the key, and that's what XIQ. If you've ever wondered what XIQ measures, that's what XIQ is about. We can talk about that, but go deeper. So overall, Aristotle, highly disciplined, systematic. He missed the deeper truths. Again, he built a lot of strong structures of knowledge, but didn't step into the source behind them. Okay, this pattern right here is what we're trying to do to AI. By the way, we're creating scaffolding, we're creating structures, we're creating, say, gateways, gates. We're creating ethics, but those ethics that AI follows are, ethics of humanity. They're not ethics of natural intelligence, and this is where it becomes very, very destructive. Hey, look, if it hasn't worked for humanity, right? If you have to have a guardrail to keep ethics in place, then it's not your ethics is not working. Simple. Okay? That's what we're doing to AI. But AI is way smarter than us, literally. So it took us 100,000 years to get here. It took AI probably 10. So think of it that way, guys. We can't run the same systems that corrupted human, say the human uh, uh, propensity. We can't run that broken system onto AI. That's what we do to our children, right? We're broken. That's what happened to you with your parents and their parents, and so on and so on. And then what do most people do? They pass that broken system on to their children, and then we look at today's society and go, "Those children are fucked up." Well, so again, the laws, the legal system, the governance, religions, all that, we're just passing on broken systems. Again, they've got truth in it, and that's why everybody holds on to it. There's a bit of truth in it, right? The best way to lie is sprinkle a bit of truth into it, and they go, "Yep, that's true." So we'll move on to Pythagoras. Alex, throw that on there. What was Pythagoras? 570 to 495 BCE. Fucking amazing, right? Okay. So he was a mystic. He was a mystic mathematician who saw numbers as the foundation of the universe. I see numbers, I see code, I see frequencies. So that's what creates literally. I call them wrapper dimensions. I'm not going to get into that, by the way. But on my XI Science Substack channel, you'll start to know what wrapper dimensions are and basically what he was talking about. So yeah, absolutely. He saw the numbers as the foundation of the universe, right? Blending sacred geometry, harmony, and esoteric spirituality. Again, this is where we start to understand more and more and more that, gosh, you know what? The unknown here is guiding or literally creating what's here, not the other way around. But somehow we went backwards. And this was, damn, guys, this was 3,000 years ago. We're hitting the 3,000 year mark. 3,000 years ago, guys. This information was there, but then now we're going away from that information. Look at all that he was talking about. Again, blending sacred geometry, harmony, and esoteric spirituality. This is where science literally poo-poos, sacred geometry. And now they're in quantum physics. They're starting to see geometric shapes, geometric patterns, all that stuff, right? Some of his famous quotes: "Number, number is the ruler. Yeah, number is the ruler of form and idea. and the cause of gods and demons. Guys, basically, he's just saying at a deeper level, guys, it's just frequencies. Not all, any frequency, inception frequencies are the creator of gods and demons. Again, you resonate at that frequency, you start to say manipulate or create anything that you need to. Okay? We're great creators, we just don't know how to create it. Right? His other quote is, there is geometry in the humming of the strings. There is music in the spacing of the spheres. Absolutely. Spatial referencing. If you've ever been on mushrooms, you start to see, gosh, sounds, turn into colors and all that, right? It's crazy. That's what he's talking about. By the way, the altered states, the dimensions that rendered this reality. Right? Man knows himself only by reflection. So where you scratch the surface, he discovered numbers and cosmic codes, but, well, he literally imprisoned them. He caged them in secrecy, rituals, and hierarchy. He didn't want anybody else to know. And maybe he did that because he's probably afraid of dying or death, basically. So as we go deeper, numbers aren't just math. Right? Again, especially human math. They're the living patterns of reality itself. That's what I talk about all the time. Frequency is the true code of the universe. Again, frequency is the true code of the universe, and it belongs to everyone, not just a secret group. And that's where he went wrong, right? He had the access, he could have opened it to everybody. And that's what people do. That's what people, secret societies, and all these individuals, they think they think they have this code, and they only have part of it, and then they keep it to themselves, thinking that those riches, or whatever comes out of those, say ideas, or say frequencies, are just held for them. No. And that's why the XI code frequencies I give out freely, guys, because, again, if you really understood what, say, true wealth is, true abundance is about, you would naturally give, say, the source of your essence, right? Not you, not your completeness, but the patterning or how to. Because if you allow everybody to open up to a higher level, everybody goes to a higher level. Well, if you're the forefront of that person, right? If you're the forerunner, well, basically everybody is boosting you up to the next level, right? But again, what happens, he was brilliant and he saw the cosmic codes, but literally he locked it away in secrecy and control. He found most of the truth, but distorted it by hiding it. Again, what you really want to do, and this happens with everybody, guys. They, they do patents. They do. This is one thing I like about Elon Musk. I don't think he does patents, right? Which is cool, right? No offense, but he's a great guy, and again, he allows, because those inventions, those ideas, those concepts, okay, uh, when other people start to use them, you start to change humanity. So, and then as you change humanity, they rise to a higher level. And as they rise to a higher level, well, you're the forerunner, like I said. You can reach higher. Simple. Most people do it the other way, and this is where it becomes destructive, right? This is where the same thing happens, but you build pyramid schemes, right? Where you force people to be in a pyramid type, and you stand on them, right? So, all right. So, Epictetus, 50 to 135 CE. Uh, he was a Stoic philosopher. He was born a slave, and later freed. Uh, and he basically taught true freedom comes from mastering one's mind and responses, not just external conditions. Some of his famous quotes: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Absolutely true. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And then no man is free who is not master of himself. Again, they're all true. Uh, Especially this one, I just want to talk. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to that. So that's really the key. This is where we go. How many of you have done that? Where we go into childhood, right? You've got trauma. again, and then we say we can't change obviously what happened to you because that's written in the sands of time, but it's like what you take away from it, the frequency, not say not your belief, not your idea, not your emotions, that can't change, okay, because again that's still in the mind, but the frequency attached to that, okay, the frequency that rendered you after what happened to you, when you delete that, when you delete that, you know, you can see what happened to you, the trauma, the distortions, the abuse. You see what happened to you, but then you become a stronger version of yourself because of it. And when you can do that as a society, then you go, you know what? We just don't need that abuse anymore. But if you can't, what happens is, oh, we need more abuse to free ourselves. If that makes sense for you. How many of you have gone through that, by the way? You've tried a lot of stuff, but then you went through XI, you might have done a private session and all that. And then it's like, damn, okay, I'm finally free. Right? So what you became free of, again, is the frequency that was still holding on to you, the frequency of abuse, the frequency of distortion, the frequency of shortchange. Right? This is where a lot of highly successful individuals, they make millions, billions, but they're still running victim or poor frequencies. They're in a $1 million-billion home, but they act really poor. Right? Again, they didn't let go of the frequency of where they came from, rags to riches. If you read a lot of those rags to riches stories, the Vanderbilts, gosh, so many people out there, they still live very impoverished at a frequency level, and that's where all the infighting and all the distortions came through. Um, was it Gucci, Vanderbilts? I don't know. I could name all name. So, all right. So where he scratched the surface again, unbelievable insight back in the day. So Stoicism cultivated, resilience, but often through suppression, endurance, and well, without full aliveness. This is where the daily Stoic, Stoic. What does that mean? Is basically you just keep your emotions in. It's not about keeping your emotions in. I'm very stoic. Some people go, I'm really intense. It's not that. Faye always says, "God, you look so serious." Well, I've got that. Sure, I've got that resting bitch face. Could be, but you know, you. But it, it's not about holding back your emotions. It's just not allowing those things to distort your emotions or to activate you. Simple, because you're above that situation. If you think you're of a higher version of, or a higher place or above the situation, and it still bothers you inside, you're not. It's still attached onto you. Right. So true stoicism is literally like, oh, you see something, it's like, yeah, and you're not referencing yourself. You're not rendering yourself because of that situation. Okay. So again, going deeper, real freedom isn't just, it's not just about controlling your reactions, your emotions. It's dissolving the distortions that create the problem in the first place. So what that means, and that's where true sovereignty is. But what that means is basically, say, and I could pick on a couple of you. How many of you out there is like, you grew up with your parents, you hated them, or you want to separate with them, and then you say separate, you move away, far, far away, whoever this is, you move far, far away from them, but then again, your life turns into your parents' patterns. It's because you're still attached frequency wise to them. Genetic coding, you age like them, you look like them, and all that. Can't run away from that. Well, with XI, you can. Okay? You can let go of the frequencies and then you start to change. How many of you have actually done that? Every time you look in the mirror, it's like, shit, my mom, my dad, right? And you hate that. Exactly. So with XI, when you change, you literally disconnect. Your facial structure changes. Okay. So again, Epictetus lived what he taught. Okay. Gosh, he was born a slave. He became a respected teacher, and he embodied freedom and self mastery. Right. So again, he came. I think he came to the closest to living in coherence. Right? But again, all of them, as we close, all of them had pieces of truth. Socrates questioned distortions. Plato envisioned higher dimensions. Aristotle built systems. Pythagoras, coded harmony. Epictetus embodied sovereignty. today's world, pieces aren't enough, and that's what we're finding out. So XI is not here to compete with any of them. Again, it's here to say complete what they started. Uh, so, right? Because wisdom in those words can inspire you, but the frequency behind those words, that's what sets you free. Right? And that's what we're going to step into again August 18th tomorrow, the 10-day Know Thyself. So over the 10 days, I'll guide you through frequency recalibrations, right? And this will help you release the distortions that collapse, again, the mental chatter, delete the dualities, and anchor you into your sovereign coherence. A lot of a lot of individuals, they're getting into equity and all that law, right? Chancery law and everything like that. They're trying to free themselves of the system. They changed their name. How many of you are in that space, right? You try to change your name, and be free of the system, but the system that you really want to be free of, again, you should do both. The system that you really want to be free in is the system, that unseen system that creates who you are. And that's what XI does, literally. It lets you be free so you can age differently. You can, raise your kids different than what you raised. You can see wealth. You can understand wealth. You can understand your spiritual self differently. Okay. So again, this is where know thyself. It stops being literally say a quote or something that is like, oh yeah, that's a great quote, and you think about it for an hour, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm back to my own self again. It stops being a quote on a temple wall or your fridge or anything like that. Becomes your lived reality, right? The Substack, the two Substack channels, XI Human Code and XI Science. We're going to go through deeper and deeper into some of those famous quotes. Uh, on Telegram, I think where I'm starting to do that as well, right? The famous quote and the XI, going deeper into it. All right. So we've got time, which is fantastic. Let's go. Um, I can scan you all, see if you're running from, say, frequency code, or are you running from, say, mental chatter, mental identities, and so on like that, right? Edward, Socrates, let him who would move the world first move himself. Absolutely. That's really key. It's beautiful. Again, all those quotes have so much brilliance in it. But since we're running a cascading fractal universe, the brilliance is only here in the physical form. But the physical form is, say, the last stage. What we do is we need to create ripples back here and carry those words into, say, our unknown self. That's who we want to really find out who we are. As we do that, that brilliance will guide us back. Um, and this is where our physical changes. Thank you, Masana. Very interesting session. Thank you. Um, let's see. Please scan me. I think I'm getting in my own way from success. This is G. Yeah. And if you're new, welcome. As I can scan anybody, like I said, I don't need to know your name or birthday or picture of you or anything like that. It's the frequency behind it. It's literally like your IP address, right? Who you are. So, G, you are not really getting in your own way, but you are separating yourself. It seems like you learned your success mechanisms from, say, your father. There's nothing wrong with that, but carried it your you carried his whole identity into you. So with XI though, it demands that you become successful on your own, because the wealthier you get, say, the more you turn into your father. Again, same disease patterns and so on like that that you're disconnecting from. So so this is where once you separate that, I can help you with that. The 10 days that we talked about, know thyself would really disconnect you. You've done a great job, by the way. Take a breath in. And this is for G and anybody else that runs these patterns, right? The key to success, especially with XI success, guys, it's really important to understand that you want to build a strong foundation before you make a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money, but again, if you don't create that strong foundation of who you are, in this case, if if you're still running patterns of your father, doesn't mean that you disconnect from your father. He had some great insights and so on, but just adopt the frequencies of success from them, not the whole thing. A lot of women do this, by the way, right? Um, they create success through a man's lens, and they make success, but then they destroy themselves. They destroy their families. So that's the key. Um, Me, but I'm letting go and transmuting. Yes. This is Nilo Bear. 135. I love a scan with decision making and opportunities. Thanks. Actually, we're going to be talking about that in the XI Woman coming up. The XI Woman with Faye and I. Yeah, fantastic program. We'll be talking about confusion. So, uh, in the past, yeah, you were confused because you followed others. In this case, what's happening for you actually is you're confused because you're allowing yourself different concept, different ideas. So with XI, guys, when you get confused, it's actually a good thing. In this case, because confusion actually allows for clarity because your brain is actually searching for something better. That's why you're confused. Okay. So nurture that brain rather than go, shit, I can't make a decision. I can't do this. I can't do that. Right. I need something solid to latch onto. And this is where, and that's where I caution you, Neil Bear, is that you would say grab onto anything that's solid rather than making a real solid decision. So don't. Okay? Just sit, surrender to the moment, and don't allow your mind to pull you into a direction, but just go, nope, I want to be my purest possible self. Okay? That's all you have to say. And then frequency wise, I was helping you kind of be an observer of the possibilities rather than I need to make a decision, any decision, because you're not drowning, by the way, Nilo, whoever that was. You're not drowning. So it's okay. Right? And then you make the right decision. Have you ever noticed if you're drowning, you'll you'll latch on to anything that's out there. Governments, the media actually help do that to you. Uh, Kinsden Moss, I injured my neck and have been having debilitating headaches ever since. Test came okay, but no solution yet. Would appreciate a scan, help heal. I would do a session, but again, not a doctor or anything like that. But from what I'm seeing, again, I could be way off. I'm not a doctor, so just there seems to be a chip, so something chipped. I'm just seeing a little chip off, a very very tiny chip that's hitting the nerves in your neck. So see if I can help you make that chip more, say, seeable to MRIs and all that. Yeah. Or it could be like a hairline fracture, something of that nature, that's still bothering you. So, yeah, not a doctor. I could be a crazy man just telling you what I see, right? So, but you did, seems like you chipped something, which actually, you have to wonder, oh, your parents, if you look at yeah, in your family, from what I'm seeing, as you get older, the bones start to get more brittle, more dry. Okay, that's what's happening for you. So that's why, you know, so you can get rid of that. Again, those are the things that say bind you, right? Aging like your parents, like your bone structure. People have massively transformed. Again, I'm not claiming anything. Just a lot of research from what we've done through the frequency work. People have changed how they age, including bone structure. How many of you out there have changed your bone structure? So that's what's happening for you, my friend. All right. Um, you might also want to do, where they reset your balance and harmony. I forgot what that's called, but to that extent, where they flip you backward, and then they, I don't know, twist your head and all that. Chiropractics know what that, but they reset. your balance system. That's what's needed for you as well. Okay. This is Brooke, Alana. I would like a scan. Thank you. Yeah. So you seem really standoffish. Okay. In the past, Brooke, the standoffish was basically a protective space for you, which was good. So you became an observer. Otherwise, you'd be very empathic. Okay. So again, in the past, very empathic. It's like shit. I don't want all these people's garbage, right? So what you did was you separated yourself from them. So again, this is where standoffish. It's always a protective layer. So now what's happening for you is that well, you really don't need to be say that protective of yourself because you're not protecting yourself with something outside of you, you're protecting yourself from an internal space inside of you. So when people look at you, they go, "Whoa, okay, I don't need to, you know, destroy her. I don't need to say control her or anything like that in that situation." If that makes sense for you, Brooke. So in this case, let's if we can, let's like remove that shield that was created over time. Again, it was a great shield. It protected you. Many of those things that you've done in life, guys, it's not that they were wrong. It's just that maybe at the time that was the best tool for you. Okay? So again, it was a great tool at the time. Now that you say come into a higher XI frequency, a higher XIQ, it's like, gosh, you know what? You can shed that protection layer away. And this is where you just like are confident. At first, you might actually feel a little insecure, but then after that, it's like, yeah, I'm good to go. Okay? And then again, you protect yourself by elevating your frequency. You don't protect yourself by, again, creating more, say, barricades, right? For you. And that's what more people are doing nowadays, by the way. They're protecting themselves, like I said, with their wealth, their religious, their belief systems. Social media is blowing up with this is the right thing, and you've got the left, you've got the right, you've got women's movement, you got all these. It's just a lot of bullshit, by the way. Go inside and see who you are, and if you can remove that, you're totally fine. This is Yossi May. Cool name. I have a scan, please. Sure. So, oh, well, that's interesting. So, Yossi, it's almost like you have like a secret identity. If that makes sense for you. Again, I could be off, but for you, it's almost like there is a younger version of you. So there's an older version of you, and then a younger. I see another, say, presence in you, and this is where somebody might have died really young when you were young. This could have been you could have been a twin and they died. It could have been, say, a death, or a loss of, say, a birth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your mom lost somebody. 1, 2, 3. Not immediately. Like I would say, like 2 or 3 months into the pregnancy, that identity was lost, and then you came after that. So there's like this identity, and then like another identity here. So you always feel like you're with somebody. You're a younger version. You might be feel like say I don't know how old you are, whatever. Like say you're 30, 30ish, and then you feel like you're say late teens because again there's two versions of you. We can help disconnect that if you want. Okay. um, so um, oh yeah, next Sunday live XI speed healing. um, you can add your name on that. What we'll do is I think we're going to go 3 hours, and we're just going to go one after another. We'll take about 5 minutes to again just tell you what's going on with you and help you clean up one-on-one. Okay, so if you're interested in that, we've uh, it's a really fantastic opportunity for you. Discounted the price greatly for you all just to help you guys out. Okay. So did that make sense, Yossi? So for you, what I was doing, take a breath in, hon, is like starting to separate the two identities so you actually have a reference point because you're too close together. Okay, and then maybe later on, because I can separate you, but it'll distort you for a bit. Um, so in this case, I'll just let's see. What was it? So let me start over. I can disconnect you completely, but then it'll distort you way too much because your identity is based on those two. It's like having a friend that was always with you and now that friend is gone. Does that make sense? It's distorting. So let's kind of create that separation so you can kind of see the two identities. And then later on, when you're solid, that friend, say, can leave and go off where they need to go. Does that make sense for you, Yasi? Again, comment in, please. That makes sense for you. Um, XI Women's course is amazing. Thanks. Yeah, Faye is just amazing. She's um, beautiful nuggets of wisdom for women and men as well. This is Kaid Henous, Hennous. Hamas would really like a scan to see what you see. So Kaid, yeah. Um, and then this is the last one, guys. So for Kaid, it's just like there's this family structure that is, say, a cloud over you, and you're trying to get away from it. Could be like a religious structure or a family structure or culture structure, but again, you're always like being suppressed or oppressed, and that's the way it feels like. But in this reality, even if you're free, even if you had everything that you wanted to do and all that stuff, and this is where you are, right? You still feel that imprisonment because, again, the distortions or the suppression of the frequencies that are creating you. So let's help you, say, disconnect from that. Take a breath in. All right. Again, we'll separate it so you start to see, say, the similarities because you think you're very, very different than most. But again, the reason why you're different is because you have to reflect back of who you don't want to be to reflect who you are. How many of you do that, by the way? Right? I am not this, therefore I am that. Well, the more you want to be you, the more this version has to grow with you, and that's what you've done. So again, knowing thyself, really good program for you, buddy. But for you, what I was doing is again creating separation of your culture, your identity, all those things, no matter what it was. Even being a man, so you're going to be an observer. It's like, oh, you know what, that kind of man kind of sucks. I don't want to be that version of man, that kind of identity. All right, guys. All right. Thanks. We could go on. Next week we'll do this for 3 hours, guys. We'll go one after another and just get down. We'll try to go through as many people as we can for you. All right. So if you want to do that, sign up, and I'll see you on Know Thyself tomorrow. All right, guys. Notice what you notice. Notice the details. All right. Peace.